let's get start a demo first of Azure function with clean architecture. So here I just build Azure function which have all these endpoints. Let's get by ID, post, put and delete. And as well as if you see, this is my Azure function is running which have all these endpoints. Actually I just expose this, and also I just adding in our Swagger UI. So that's why we are able to see these endpoints over here. So let me try to execute one by one how it's working. So first let me try to execute that get all blocks, right? So now I'm able to get that all blocks. And also once you're running, our log will be happening in our console as well. So this is way. And then also if I trying to get that blocks, for example it's 4, right? So let me try to add that blocks using id 4. So also I'm getting, right? And then if I want to post a new block, so let me try. So I'm just execute. So I'm just creating new blocks. And as well as if I want to update something, so let me update that blocks, for example updated blocks, and then also description, like description, and then passing that id. So what is my id? This is my id. And once I execute, I'm getting this response which is successful. And make sure that is perfectly it is updated or not. So let me execute over here. So let me execute that get all blocks endpoint. So this is my all block endpoints, and see it is just got updated as well. Now I want to try to delete. So if also I want to try to delete over here, so let me try to delete. Once I try to delete, I can delete as well. So that's that's all that feature actually we will implement, which using that Azure function and clean architecture. And also those are things you can just do postman as well. So if you see over here, so if I all that endpoint actually I just expose over here. Once I get, so I'm getting. And if I want to try to get by id, so whatever ids exist, so we can pass it over here. For example this, so this is my get by id blocks. So they don't have any because we have just deleted, right? So let me tag that one, existing one. And also if I want to add something, so I can just add also using a postman. So now it is added new. And if I want to update, so also I can just update. For example it was 5, right? So also let me change to id 5. And once I update, so it is update also. And if I want to delete, so that all will be also delete. So these all things actually we will implement in our clean architecture using that Azure function, right? So let's get start implementation. So before implementation, I'm especially recommend visit my channel, which is .NET Real World Example. And here one of the session before proceeding, so you have to take in care this one, because I want to use clean architecture, how we can use this clean architecture in our Azure function, how we can integrate actually that clean architecture with Azure function. So that is goal in this session, right? So that's why you have to know how clean architecture, how we can implement. And then this same example we will take in, and we will implement our Azure function. So let's get start implementation. So what I will do, I will take same clean architecture example which we have in our GitHub link, so you can take it. So this is same example. I'll just let me open this guy. It's opening, right? And this is that architecture of clean architecture which is integrated with the web API, right? So if I try to run and see it is working fine or not. So before start we have to make sure, right? So let me start this project web API, and then see it is working or not. Now it looks good, right? We have author feature and block feature. And let me try to execute. Now it looks good, right? It's working. So now further we have to integrate our Azure function in this clean architecture. So how we can do that? So first of all, what I will do, simply I will remove this guy, right? So that no confusion. So we have to remove that API. And then what I have to do, we have to just create a new project here and look for Azure function. So you can just search over here and Azure function, and you can select this Azure function. Next, and you can just put it whatever name. So Azure function and then next. And here See, here is a many things over here. See, there is a two options over here, in process and out process, right? Isolated and without isolated. So whatever latest version, they don't have an without isolated version, but yeah, that's why I will just create this .NET 6 version. And also, if I downgrade version I will take, so what are the changes we have to require in our clean architecture, so that also I will take care, that I'll show you, right? So in upcoming session we'll take in care this guy, .NET 8. But yeah, for that in process we have only .NET 6, that's why I will use this guy, right? So use this guy. And also see here, I will use that HTTP trigger with OpenAI, right? So there is an option also which have only just HTTP trigger function, right, without OpenAI. But I will use this guy so that our Swagger UI can already implement it, right? And as of now we will choose this anonymous type, because we don't have any authentication on all, so that's why I use this guy and simply create. Now your function is created over here. This is simple function. Also, you don't know what is that Azure function and all, go to my visit my channel. I actually created a Azure function for that getting started session. So you can just check it, what is that and how is working and all, right? So you can just check it. So now what I will do over here, simply just selected the startup project and check it is working or not. Now it's perfectly running, right? Also, if I just click Swagger UI, so we can make sure, okay, yeah, Swagger UI also working. If I just try to something, so it should be return the result, right? So yeah, it is returning result. As well as if I want to see over here, it is just logged in whatever process, right? So that is fine, but that we have to make sure before actually starting, right? So then first you have to just create this guy, and then how we can interact like our clean architecture, right? How we can use that feature, right? So we have, if you go to here application layer, it's have for example this guy, right? Interface, we have a repository and author, uh, I repository and author repository. And also if you want to see that feature, inside the feature there is a two feature, author and blog. So how we can integrate, how we can use actually those command queries and things, right, in our Linux architecture. So that is actually main agenda on this, in this here. So first of all, I have to actually be you I have to just reference this core application layer, as well as the infrastructure layer in this project, right? So let me add this reference first, and application layer and infrastructure layers, these two things. Actually this is outer layer and this is actually core layer, so that we have to reference add on here. So once I add over here and let me build it, as of now see it is failing. Actually why it's failing, it will say it is a compatibility issue, right? Definitely it will be compatibility issue, because my library, actually we have our .NET 8, but when I just create our client application, it is a downgrade version, so definitely it will do the it will complain these things, right? So in this case what I can do, simply I will downgrade, because this function actually we are trying to create a .NET 6, so that's why I have to downgrade. But yeah, upcoming session we'll do that latest one also, like .NET 8, and then isolated version, then we can integrate with the same version. But here we will simply first I have to just downgrade. So for the downgrade things, what I can change, what I need to change first. So first you have to change over here, just go to that application layer here, .NET 8, right? So here I have to just change simply 6. So this package I have to change for that abstraction extension method, and also just change this guy, right? And this is application layer project reference, and also see the mediator R, right? So in this mediator R, actually some issue. Actually, the latest one also it's not support for this, .NET 6 version. So what I can do, I can just downgrade that mediator R also. So this is important actually, because the main goal of that mediator R will be interact in our Azure function to our core layer, right? So that's why we have to first downgrade this guy, and this guy actually dependent also this guy. So that's why it's not should be greater than of this version, right? So that's why we have to downgrade. And this is first changes. Less remaining will be will keep it same like 13 and 11, that is fine. Also here target framework would be changed to 8 to 6. So this is done for this application one, right? So now go to the domain one. Domain one, we don't have any reference and packages, right? So simply we have to change that .NET 8 to .NET 6. That is also done. Now one last things actually we have for the infrastructure layer, right? So go to here. Here actually there is some more packages, right? So here also we have all the .NET 8 packages, right? So all of things we have to change with .NET 6, right? So what I can do, simply first let me change the framework. So it is first changes, and then just change all that, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and the last one is this guy, right? So now that is also done, right? So now all the changes downgrade happen, right? Simply revealed, right? So once you revealed, see some issue. So what is that issue? If you go to that error list, see this is error list, and it is just clearly saying this is one issue on that file, which is application dependencies one in application layer, right? So go to that one first. So go to that application one and go to that extension folder, and here, because we actually we have downgrade, right? So if we have downgrade that mediator r, so mediator r does not, the downgrade version does not have actually this feature, right? So in this case what I can do, simply I just remove this guy, right? And this remove this guy and this guy, and we have to add, see if you downgrade that add mediator r package, so we have to, they have own package that is called something, extension package, so that we have to just install that guy. So let me quickly install that guy, add mediator package. So here go to that application NuGet package, and here this guy. So see, this is deprecated to 11 version, but yeah, we required at least be using mediator 7, right? So we can take it same version and install that guy and apply. And if you go back to application here, see this is newly we have added, right? So in the latest version we don't record that extension dependency package, right? But yeah, then old version mediator r we required this extension method. So that's why we have to install this guy. So once it's done, now we can try to rebuild. Now once it's revealed, still error in that file, right? So go to that. Actually that is a good way actually to integrate, because if we get a issue, now see there's a problem because we don't have any reference and all, right? So let me quickly fix that. Add mediator r, let me add that as a correctly. So now I'm adding and also import this guy, right? So once I import, save it. Now let me try. This is not a big issue, but yeah, we have to see like how we can fix it. Now rebuild all successful, right? This is perfectly fine, and if you see, this is perfectly fine, right? So now we have fixed that issue, downgrade issue has been fixed. Now we have to start to connect, or we have to use in this Azure function to our core library, right? Using the mediator R. So how we can do that? It's simple, as like we have done in our skeleton, clean architecture skeleton. What I need to do, simply I have to require that mediator R you know interface, and then just we have to inject it in this function constructor, and now we are good to go to use this guy. And all that dependency resolve dependency has been fixed, so there should not be any issue. And here we have to implement all that functions, right? So let me remove this guy, right? Because we don't require this guy, so we can remove this guy. And here first actually function we will implement get all blocks, right? So let me create that. It's very much simple. So let me create that. Now see, I just create a function, right? And function also, this is a Swagger UI configuration step. So I just open operation for this blocks one, and operation ID would be get blocks, right? And then whatever response, what kind of response actually we want, so we can set it over here like that. This is just a UI things, Swagger UI things, so that's fine. And now see here, I just create a function get blocks, an HTTP trigger function, and this is anonymous type, and whatever that HTTP bar for this. So HTTP bar for this actually get, and the route we have to set nothing, so we have to set null, and then it is a request body. So in this case, the get all, we don't record any request body, so that we don't record. But yeah, finally we can use that mediator r, right? And then here just send it and call that get block query, right? So which is also, which is we have in here, right? So if you go to that feature, go to that block section, go to that queries and get blocks query, see, this is that blocks query, right? So which is I calling over here using that mediator. That's it, right? This is one line code, clean code. We can just call your client and you can get that response using your clean architecture, right? And we can simply show it over here. So rest of things whatever we have, we will remaining same, nothing we have to change, right? And first we have to just we can just further implementation, we have to just make sure, okay, just current one is working or not, right? Whatever just one endpoint actually we have added. So let me check it. Now see, it is running, perfectly running. Also we have that endpoints, right, which is we have created. And also there is a Swagger UI, click continue, and then you can get that Swagger UI, continue, execute. I am getting 500 error, right? So what is that 500 error, that we can check it. So go to here, and also it is saying unable to resolve I mediator R function in this here. So it's still some issue actually for mediator R. So go back to your solution over here. See, uh, if you see over here that application layer, right? So application layer we have a dependencies, we have that, resolve dependencies over here, but we have not calling actually in our Azure startup function, so that we have to actually uh, configure, right? So that whatever extension we can pass it. So this is our front end, right? We can say as a front end client. So this client actually we have to call this this extension method so that they can resolve. So how we can do that? So that is actually the tricks. So we have done, actually we have some startup file in our web API, right? That is a startup program.cs file, but here we don't have that for .NET 6 function, right? So here how we can do that? So we have to create one startup file over here. So let me create, let me stop first, and then let me create that. Let me add and then create a class and call it to startup file as a class name. Let me create that guy and then add it. Now see, I just created one startup class file and just make it to public, right? And once you make it public, here we have to import, inherit, one uh, abstract class over here that is called function setup, right? Let me bring back the namespace, which will actually using that Microsoft Azure function extension. So let me install this guy because we have to require some overload method. Now once it's done, now we have to just implement, right? Implement abstract class. See, this is configuration one. So once your application will run, this is startup call will fire, and whatever configuration we have to do, so they will call and they will resolve here. So our resolve depend injection we have to define over here. So how we can do that? Simply, first let me configure something. If builder, right, if builder equal to null, then simply throw new exception, right? And then whatever exception you can just edit over here. Might be some issue on that, so that we can edit over here some startup issue, right? so that we can add it. So this is one step. Now further I have to do something over here. We can just get it, we can just call it that guy, right? So how we can call it? So what is the method name of extension method? Copy this guy, go back here, simply builder dot services dot call that method, and simply we can see we have to resolve that, import that, that guy. Where is that guy? Yeah, application dot extension, right? And then simply is done. So this is where actually we have to resolve our dependencies in our client, right? Azure function client. And similar, we have another extension method in this clean architecture for the infrastructure layer, right? Where is that? This is that guy. So call it that guy. What is the name? Add references, right? So go to here, and again same things we have to do for this builder dot services dot then this guy, right? And this guy, see, this is also fine, but this is expecting actually uh eye configuration things, right? So how we can get that eye configuration, that another things we have to build over here. We have to just create another method over here that is called, see, I just created a private builder configuration, pass that application path root. Based on this, what I'm trying to do, add that JSON, whatever that local JSON we have to add it, whatever that local JSON. See, I have the local JSON over here, which we have to just, for locally we have add that all that configuration, right? So we have to keep our configuration here, and once I deployed, so they will keep it from that, configuration variable as well, right? So this is a functionality actually that Azure actually work. So don't worry, once I deployed, I'll show you where they will get that configuration. uh, so how I can just call this method to over here and pass it, right? So what I can do for that, I have to just create, configuration variable. I'll call it to that. So before here, let me call to config value over here and call that method name. What is my method name? This is my method name. And here we can just pass that application root path, right? And where I will get from that builder dot get context, and this got context have application root path. So whatever application path, we will get it and pass it, and we can get that eye configuration. We set that all the configuration, the eye configuration, and then we can use it over here. So this is also done. Now this actually, this settings we have to keep it from our startup files. And one more thing actually we still missing. So see, this is just created by startup file, but how Azure function will think, okay, this class I have to just, taken care once I running. So they don't know, right? So for this we have to set forcefully, okay, uh, like this, like, so see, assembly function startup, which function I have to call? I have to call this guy. So that I have to tell, okay, so that is this assembly always call once I started our Azure function, right? So now I should be, we should good to go. So let me run. Now it's running. Go to that Swagger and let me try now. Okay. Now another problem is, see, it is just getting that configuration setting, right? And in this configuration we have these only three values, the JSON file and all, but we don't have that whatever, see, this is that keys, all the keys over there, right? So if you go to here, the 85 keys, so they actually looking for that here connection string, but they don't get because I have not specified. So that is missing again, that we have to add the connection string. So where I can get it, go to that where I can set it actually. So go to that local dot setting, here we can add connection string, and here we can pass it whatever name. So what is my name? So my name is this guy. So we can add this guy over here, and we can set it, okay, uh what is that name, our connection string, right? So we can set it our connection string like that. So this is my connection string. using IMDb like this DB, and save it and run it. Now it's running. Now just check it. So it should be run. Now refresh UI and try out, execute. Now this time we are getting successfully response, right? We are getting successful response with 200, and also we can check it in this function. They also returning the data. So now integration perfectly fine. So these are settings, actually these are things actually we have to integrate, so that our clean architecture we can integrate in our Azure function, right? So now quickly what I will do, go to that function. Rest of now endpoints also will implement, right, quickly. So next endpoint would be is a get endpoint, right? This is nothing different, but yeah, it's little bit different for that, norm this endpoint, right? Because we have to additionally pass that ID. So how we can pass the ID? We can use this guy, right? Open AI parameter and pass over here in a parameter location ID. And additionally we have to add in this after request, we can add this ID, and that ID we can get it. And simple, again we can call this guy as a mediator.send and get block by ID query, which already we have all feature in our here application feature, right? We have that get blocks, we have get blocks ID, so we can call it this guy and we are good to go, right? So let me implement all that endpoint first. Then after that we will check. So the next endpoint would be post endpoint, right? So how we can post the data? So in this post data it is slightly different, right? Instead of that ID we have to pass that body. So how we can pass that body? So for the body actually we have to use this guy, open request body parameter for the Swagger perspective, right? So we can use like this way, and then simply we can mention, okay, what is the type we have to expected? We are expected block type, right? And then whatever request body we have getting, we just no, read a stream and pass it to that here and deserialize with this blog DTO. And simply I call that create command, which is already we have that feature. Go to that here command and create command we have, and we can use this guy. And here simply we can call, we can get the data, right? This is a very easy way. If you create your clean architecture, you can integrate any client side application quickly, right? Only just one line code you can just implement. You don't bother about that all the things, right? So that's why actually I just created this session. And then the other one would be the put one. So put one also it's same, like we required ID and route ID and as well as the body, right? So these two things actually I just define. And then also we are just adding over here ID, and simply again we have to conversion over here and just pass it to that update block command using the mediator or send, and we are good to go. And the last one would be our this guy, delete endpoint, right? So let me implement that guy also. Again it is very simple for using this guy, right? Again just passing only ID, and then based on the ID calling that mediator R and send it to that delete block command and pass the ID. That's it, right? So this is done. And one more thing actually we have to cover in this session. So see, this is also we have using EF core, right? So how we can migrate, how we can do that migration, right? So that is little tricky. We can do that, don't worry, because directly actually it is not working. So we have to do something differently. Don't worry, I'll show you. So save it and run it first. Let me check like all that features or all the feature is working or not with the existing DB. And then we will create a new migration and we will use that new DB. So here the all the endpoint is exposed, right? Go to this guy and let me check everything is working fine or not. So yeah, this one already we have tested, so this is fine. Item number 6, so let me pass to id 6. So this is good, right? This good. And then also if I want to create new one, so let me create a new one, also true. 8 id has been created. And then 8 id, if I want to check over here, so once execute, so it is created. And then we want to update something or 8 id, 8 id number 8, and then change to 8 and pass it to something update. And this is also update description, right? And then execute. Now it is successfully. And then let me check one more time, and it is just created. So yeah, this is one. So yeah, it has got updated. And the finally I want to delete, so that delete also it's working fine or not. Let me check it. Yes, that true. And then if I just execute same one, I will get null response. Yeah, that is perfectly fine, means all that endpoints is working correctly, right? So now let me change it to the db, right? So go to that local.setting file here. Let me change the db name. For example, yeah, let me create a name that azure function db, right? And once I change it over here, so definitely this db will not exist, so it will give some error, right? So let me show you. So now running, if you go and click that execute, the db is not there, it will give some error. Now see, it is getting some error. So yeah, that is fine because I adding some retry logic, so that's why it's saying okay, after maximum six retry it is failing, right? So that is fine. So how we can migrate, right? Because it is a new db, how we can migrate? So for the migration perspective, what I can do, uh, open, go to the tools and go to that NuGet package and go to that package manage console, right? It is a one way actually use this package console, or another way you can directly use that console application and select this directory, like whatever project directory. So you can do that, right? So here let me try to migrate, right? And before migrate, you have to make sure like client application should be selected over here, and whatever your infrastructure layer, so that also you have to select it in here, the default project, right? So here let me just add and migrate. One I add to migrate, and just first migration in Azure. And then once I hit enter, the first problem is they required actually client side, they required this package, right? So let me quickly uh, import this package, right? So here in the client side means our Azure function, we have to require this package to migration. So let me add, and this package also will keep it that lower version, right? Because we are using 6, right? So let me add it 6 version, installed and done. So this is one problem, one issue we fix that package issue. Now go to again here and let me try again. Now see, it is saying something, uh, for example, unable to create object because the different patterns support at design time. This is happen only just Azure function. If you trying to do the same things, means same behavior for the .NET application with the outbound process, right? The isolated one. So that is fine, I guess. That we haven't tried, but yeah, uh, in our normal application, like our .NET Core application, that would be fine. But for function in that in process one, that is not supported. So what I can do in this case? In this case, we have to just create one class in this infrastructure layer. So go to here, right click on that, create a class, right? And what would be the class name? Class name would be like create a factory, right? So let me create a factory over here, and then just add it over here, right? So in this factory, what I can do in this factory, let me go to here, right? We have to inject something, right? we have to we have to inherit something like I designed time db factory, so that we have to inherit. So this is that one, and this in this one actually it is coming from this guy Microsoft Entity Framework, right? So fix that is fine, and then also our blog db context, right? So that we have to add it, and once I add it, what I can do simply just implement, right? So we have to just create a db context, and we have to do something over here. So first let me get that option builder over here. This is done, right? So this is option builder, we can get it like that. And then we have to just set it our environment variable after that. So let me add that environment variable over here. Let me grab the new line, right? So builder equals whatever provider we are trying to use, we can use it. And here I will use that environment dot get variable and pass it to whatever variable name you want, so you can just keep it over here. So it is done now. Then also finally we have to return that context, db context. Simply just return db context with option does that. So these settings, this class we have to create factory class, and we don't require to do anything in this class to call anywhere, right? So simply just call and make it to public, and that's it. Now let me show you to run this application and what happened actually again. So go to again that package.manage console here. If you run again, see, it will saying we don't get that that connection string name. That is obvious. See, so now that got changed, error got changed, right? And also if you see clearly, it is saying value cannot be null, right? So why its value null? Because see, we are just trying to hit that command, right? So that command actually looking for that environment, that get variable. Our application it's not running, right? So our application it's not running, so definitely we don't have and that variable name and all. So in this case what I can do, simply before fire this command I can add that variable, right? So let me add this variable like that. What you can do, simply you have to set environment variable, right? So this is my environment variable, I will set using this environment key, and this is my connection string name which I just edit in our environment variable, right? So that factory class, right? So that we have to set, and also you have to make sure whatever the database you want to create, that is same for your database name, right? So that you have to make sure. So once you add in this, just hit enter, it would be set. Now it is set, right? Add migration, my correct migration, and then what I can do, I can just add it update database. Now apply migration also done. Let me check quickly. Go to my SQL Server Management Studio, and here let me connect this and check the database name which we just create Azure something. Yeah, this guy, right? So this is my DB name, Azure function DB. And if you expand, go to the tables, so the two tables should be created, right? See, the two tables created along with that EF migration history and all, right? That is fine. Our DB is there. And now what I need to do, simply I have to just run, and we have to check with this new DB. So application is running, and run this UI as well. And here definitely we don't have our data, right? So see, there's a no data, that is perfectly fine. Let me push some data. So let me create this data. Now create few data, and then call this method. Now see, I'm getting the data, all the data, and that is expected, right? So now it's working fine, right? Migration also we have covered. So that is some trick actually in Azure function for this in process function. So db migration, so that is done. So now we are good to go to close this session. So before close this session, what I will do, I will add this repository in my GitHub, so you can take a reference to learn. Now this is my name, right? Clean architecture with the Azure function, right? And then we have to simply push this. So that is done. Now that's all for this session, and have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share.